It is one of the most controversial questions being asked of the Republican and presidential candidates. In the CBS debate, both Governor Mitt Romney and Speaker Newt Gingrich were asked if the President of the United States has the power to order the death of a U.S. citizen. Gingrich gave a lengthy legal answer, saying that many Americans are confused on the subject. Is he right? Ben has the reality check.
Well, Newt Gingrich not only answered the question in length, he did so with a swagger that indicated the answer is simple and obvious. I'm going to look at three different statements Gingrich made, but there is so much information here. We're breaking this into two parts. Tonight, part one, is Gingrich right about the specific case of Anwar al-Awlaki? Let's begin with who Anwar al-Awlaki was. He was a Muslim cleric in Yemen, and the U.S. government had said he was responsible for influencing the Fort Hood shooter, the unsuccessful Christmas Day underwear bomber, as well as the failed Times Square bomber. On September 30th of this year, al-Awlaki was killed by drone strike. Now, what is critical to this story is that al-Awlaki was a U.S. citizen born in Las Cruces, New Mexico. 2 weeks after his assassination, a separate drone attack was used to kill his 16-year-old son, Abdulrahman al-Awlaki. The 16-year-old was at a family barbecue. He was also a U.S. citizen born in Denver. So the question:
as President of the United States, would you sign that death warrant for an American citizen overseas who you believe is a terrorist suspect?
Well, he's not a terrorist suspect. He's a person who was found guilty under review of actively seeking the death of Americans.
Not found guilty by a court, sir.
He was found guilty by a panel that looked at it and reported to the president.
But that is not true, at least not to the extent that has been either made public by the administration or in the context of leaked information. Here's what we do know. There was not a panel that determined al-Awlaki's guilt. There is a roughly 50-page memorandum by the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel. It was completed around June of 2010. And that memo was written not by a panel, but by two lawyers, David Barron and Martin Lederman. The legal analysis that those two lawyers provided concluded that al-Awlaki could be legally killed if it was not feasible to capture him, because intelligence agencies said he was taking part in the war between the United States and al-Qaeda and posed a significant threat to Americans. So on that first issue, there was not a legal panel that determined he could be killed, just two lawyers. But there's more. The memorandum written by those two lawyers was written more than a year before al-Awlaki was killed. Now, according to the Washington Post, who was leaked the memo, it did not independently analyze the quality of the evidence against him. The Post goes on to say there is no evidence that a review took place that found him guilty in any meaningful, constitutional, or legal sense. So here's what you need to know. Even if Gingrich had been right, and he wasn't, there are a lot of Americans who would say he was still wrong because the Constitution does not grant the president the authority to assassinate any citizen. The Constitution, however, does deal with this issue. Citizens who wage war against the nation, it's called treason. It carries a death penalty. But Article 3 of the Constitution states that no person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession. And by the way, all of that happens in open court. And that is Reality Check.
As Ben mentioned, this was part one of Reality Check. Tomorrow he's going to look at whether or not Gingrich's overall positions on the power of the president to assassinate are accurate as a matter of law. And you can comment on tonight's story. Just head over to Ben's Facebook page. Just search Ben Swan, WXIX.